Kia ora everyone, and I'm here, Peter's invited me here tonight, as you know probably, to talk about the work of Te Puna Ako Learning Centre, which I'm already aware that some of you are familiar with. So I'll go through that quickly, and then our main topic for tonight is what do you do to develop language skills out of class, relevant to absolutely everyone in this room. I'd really like to have a conversation with you about that. It'll be a brief conversation. It's not the whole class, it's just a part of it. Okay, so I'll just focus on where we are. So I hope you're all familiar with where we are in the hub area. And we're also at Waitakere and at Albany campus, and any student can access Te Puna Ako Learning Centre services at Waitakere or at Albany. If you're closer to those places, you can go there. But our main centre, our biggest centre, is at Mount Albert as the biggest campus, and we're in the hub area. And we have an open door policy, although it might not look like it because we work in a noisy environment. We do often have our door closed, but you can always open it. Okay, we're there 8:30 to 4:30, and we actually work, as you can see now, quite a few evenings. And people who are part-time students can make appointments for times beyond 5 o'clock or 5:30. You just have to ask. So the centres are at Waitakere and at Northern, and these are the key things that we undertake to do, and we work with students from all programs at Unitec. So that's what we're expected to do. We don't promise to improve grades, but students tell us and have told us over the years that that's a result of coming to work with us. So many students have said that their grade has been improved because they came to the Learning Centre. So it's not a guarantee, but you know, it does happen. It definitely does happen. We're there to help students develop learning and study skills. That will help them while they're at Unitec. That's our key interest. But we get feedback that they are skills that help students way beyond Unitec in terms of their future careers, or if they go on to further study, which might be at Unitec or elsewhere. I think one of the key things we do is help students to get another perspective. We're not the lecturer. And by the way, our service is voluntary, so that means you come if you want to. You know, you come to us and you request an appointment. It's also confidential, so we're not reporting back to lecturers on who comes or who doesn't come. And we're not saying if somebody comes, we're not saying, you know, what that person came for, what we worked with, because we are aware that lecturers are assessing students, and we don't want to influence any assessment either positively or negatively. Yep, so we may say to lecturers, a lot of students have come for this assignment. We won't give names. The only time that we would give a name is if we ask your permission to give your name, because it might be helpful. So we'd only do that with your permission. Of course, you can tell your lecturer that you're coming if you wish to. That's great. From a writing perspective, because that's what I'm focusing on tonight, one of the reasons we exist is because academic language is no one's mother tongue. Okay? None of us grew up learning academic language at our mother's knee or at our parents' knee. Academic language is something that we learn once we start having an education, and it's something that we keep developing. So people who go on to higher degrees are still developing academic language. It's a written form of language essentially. It's not so much a spoken language. So it's something that we all have to learn and develop, and it comes gradually. And it's probably true that, business language is also no one's mother tongue. It's something that you develop. Most of the time, most of us, for our spoken language, exist with quite a small vocabulary. We can manage through every day with quite a small vocabulary, but when we get to academic study, our vocabulary kind of needs to go like this. We learn a lot of new words. When we study a new subject, we learn a lot of new words. Some of the ways that we help with assignments, and we can help you on this course and any of your other courses, are before you've even written anything, we might work with students to analyse questions or topics, which often the lecturer already does. They might work with you, talk to you about what they want, but sometimes it's worthwhile coming and talking that through. And you can do that as a small group. It's a good thing to do as a group, or as an individual. So we could talk through the topic and plan what you're going to write, how you're going to write it. After that, we could act as readers, and that could include answering questions that you ask us. Yep, so we would say, well, okay, yes, I'm happy to read your writing. What would you like me to look at? So these are some of the questions that students ask us. Some people ask, is it well structured? Does it make sense overall, is quite a common question. Is the language clear and accurate? That's something we can focus on. Is referencing accurate? Yep, APA referencing. And overall, if we think that there's anything that could be changed to improve it, we'll tell the student. We'll say what we think about that. We're not, of course, the experts in the subject, but we do have a pretty good understanding of what lecturers want, and lecturers often communicate with us. Peter's an example, to tell us the sorts of things that he wants to see in student writing. Overall, probably we would focus on, does it generally seem to meet the lecturer's requirements? Yeah? We can't be too specific about that because we don't know the detail of the subject, but we can definitely help. Now, you can bring us your final draft, but sometimes that's not the most useful time to get the input, because sometimes the final draft, if you're like me, is not long before the hand-in date, or the hand-in time even. So it's better actually to bring a first draft or an early draft, not wait till the final version. Yeah, it's actually often better to get the input. And the other thing is, of course, that we get really busy. So it's hard to get an appointment sometimes. If you've got a deadline, well, all your class has got a deadline, but all around Unitec there'll probably be people with the same deadline. When you come to see us, please bring the guidelines and criteria for the assignment, because we don't normally have access to those. Bring any writing you've done. We don't mind if it's handwritten. It doesn't have to look fancy. It can be rough. It's great to bring feedback you've had from lecturers. We really appreciate that. So if we can see a previous assignment and comments that you've had, that's really helpful to us to know where to focus. And of course, bring your questions, any questions that you've got. We, as well as providing one-to-one, small group, and a workshop program, we have online resources, and we've got hard copies in the centre as well, so you're welcome to come and pick those up whether or not you've got an appointment. So we've got a model APA reference list, instructions for paraphrasing, quite a lot of different resources that you can pick up. And our resources are also available online on our Moodle site and on the study toolbox. So I'll just We're actually making a transition at the moment. We're in the middle of that. So eventually, Study Toolbox will replace what's on Moodle. So I'll just show you the Moodle resources. This is our site. Here, can you see topics that would be relevant to you in this course? Which ones do you think would be relevant? Academic writing. There's quite a lot of material in there. There are once you click on academic writing, you get menus coming up. Any others? Referencing, definitely. Yep, a lot of material in there, including a quiz, a short quiz, which is a good way to just check your referencing skills. Yep. Anything else? Any others? Reading, note making, I think, might be ones also that you might look at, and speaking. And if you have an exam, then we've got the exam techniques materials and study skills. There's also their English language resources, and some people may be interested in those. There's a link to a very good dictionary, an excellent dictionary, and also some links to vocab. But I'll talk about some of that in a moment as well. Maths and statistics. That's right, okay. So maths and statistics. And we have 2 members of staff who work on maths, so you can have maths appointments. So definitely make use of those people. Okay, so Study Toolbox is the next one. That's on the library site. And you can see the link to it over here, and it's also linked to there. And we're working in collaboration with the library. So the library's putting material on, and so are we, and we're expanding it. But there's a lot of material on there on assignment writing in general, and you'll see it if you're continuing at Unitec next year. You'll see it developing. Okay. So this is the page with the assignment workshops on it. Sorry, not workshops, the assignment list. Just notice that there are drop-down menus. Yeah, so make sure you have a look at the drop-down menus, it's not just the tabs along the top. There's a lot of material in there under the drop-downs. Okay, so we're going to move on to this question now. What do you do to develop your English language skills? And I'm wondering whether there have been any answers to this. So I'll give you 1 minute just to talk to the people next to you, and just come up with a few things, let's say 5, that you do to help develop your English language skills. So could you all talk to the people next to you? Okay? Yep. 1 minute, starting now.
So have a talk and type in your
and type in answers here. Okay. Okay. What are some of the things? Yeah.
Ready? Press submit. Okay. Everybody put something on. Let's have a look. How do I find the answers here?
Okay. All right.
Lots and lots
Oh,
of things.
yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for that.
Okay. Good collection of things. Yeah.
So I'll read those. Increase reading of books and articles. Increase books and academic reports. Work with classmates. Listening skills. Attending classes. Develop your listening skills. Read. Read aloud.
Read aloud. Yeah. That's good.
Oh, I see. They're going that way.
Okay.
We'll start at the bottom. Watching. You're annoying. Watch movies. Read news. My view is that watching movies and reading news
Yeah.
is often rubbish because the movies, the language in movies is informal, right?
Yeah.
And also the news and newspapers. Typically, the language level is targeted at the age of a 10-year-old. Carolyn might mention this.
I disagree a bit with that one. I think the news is quite useful because it is useful to know about events that are happening in New Zealand and in the world. Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, but I do agree with the movies. The movies will be really good for developing colloquial English, that's sort of spoken English to some extent, but that will help with, everyday conversation, but not so much with writing at all, or, not so much with studying. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll agree with Carolyn that listening to the news is valuable. And it's useful to listen to professional news sites. So consider listening to the national program and any of the international, well, not any, but several of the international TV channels like BBC, Al Jazeera, Chinese. They all speak a very standard international English, or similar to the global English I'm trying to get you to write and communicate in. Yeah.
Yep. So my next question is, why is it important? Why is it important to keep developing English language skills? And this is a question to absolutely everybody in this room. Yeah.
Do you want them to write that one, or are you just going to...
No, I'll just talk about it with you. Why is it important? A few reasons.
So you can communicate effectively with people?
Absolutely, yeah. Being able to communicate. And that would be both in speech and in writing. Yep. Any other reasons why it's important?
That other people can understand you.
Yes. Yeah. And you can make yourself understood. Yeah. Any other reasons?
Language for business. Because it's the language used for business around the world.
Yep. Yeah. It is it's an international language of business. So if you want to engage in business, yeah. Any other things? Reasons?
Better marks.
Yep. Well, you get better marks, you'll be more successful in study. Yeah. So I've got just a few thoughts about how you might develop English academic and business skills, and you'll see some of these are very similar to ones that people have put up. I would encourage you to talk with classmates in groups, and it's great to see that in this class you get quite a lot of opportunities to do so, contributing to Shoro, is it? Or how do you say that word? Zorro. Yeah. Okay. Contributing to that is going to help, because you're kind of contributing publicly. But talk with classmates in groups and talk about classes, readings, analyse assignments together, which I've said you can come to the Learning Centre and do it, but you can also do it in groups together without learning centre input. And it's great to discuss the lecturer's expectations and clarify those, whatever class you're in. You can make group or individual appointments with us to discuss assignments and language and maths, and identify your own strengths, your areas for improvement, and the kind of patterns in writing that you want to work on. And also maybe, things like mistakes become patterns. We habitually make the same mistakes. So it's quite good to have someone point that out. And that's one thing we do. When I work with students, I use a sheet often to point out, well, okay, these are the common mistakes you're making. The interesting thing is that I have a list of about maybe 15 common mistakes. Most people, I'm not ticking 15 of them. I'm only ticking 4 or 5. Yep, in some cases maybe more, but for most people it's 4 or 5. And I'm, so then you know which ones you make, and you can focus on eliminating those, because it's a kind of habit that we get into. I think it's great to keep a kind of list of words and phrases that come up regularly in your subject. And I emphasise the word, not just words, but also phrases. Those, 2 or 3 word chunks, which are quite useful to remember. Do people here know about the academic word list? Okay, well, I'll just show you that. We can get to it. Oops. The academic word list is a list of 250 words which have been proven to appear very frequently in academic writing. They're not so frequent in everyday English, but they're very frequent in academic writing. And it's a small list of words. These are words that appear in sublist 1, and you'll see they have a keyword. I hope you can see that. They have a keyword, and then they have the word family. So the word context over here is a very common word, a very useful word to know the meaning of, and there's a lot of value for academics, people who are going to study academically, in learning that word and learning the different forms that it takes. Analyse is another one in the list. You'll be able to go down the list and you'll see, yep, I know that word, I can use that word, but you'll probably see some that you don't learn. So obviously, in terms of learning, you're only focusing on the ones that you don't know. These words, people at Victoria University in New Zealand, famous now worldwide, undertook a computer study to figure out overall a whole heap of Year 1 subjects, including business, which were the most common words which are not subject specific. So you don't learn these words really in your subject. They're the words often that the lecturer uses separate from the subject specific words, or in addition to the subject specific words. You really get a good payoff by getting familiar with these words. And there's masses of material online to work on them. This is just sublist 1. Words like factor, evident and evidence, distribute, economy, environment. It could be that you know all these words, so you could have a look at sublist 2. You could go through them and say, okay, I'll learn the words in sublist 2. Just go back there. So, and there are exercises online to practice these. All these very quick to do. Yes, please do. Okay.
Is there a business word list?
Probably. There'll probably be numbers of business word lists. And I could find out more about that, or recommend one which would be best if I had a look at it. Yeah,
Right, okay.
I'd certainly do that. But there are bound to be many business, like international business word lists. I think we could guarantee that those will exist.
These things called lexicons.
This one's no. Well, it is a lexicon. It's also a glossary, I suppose. It could also be called, but it's just known as the Academic Word List, or AWL. You'll see here quite a few links to click on, online exercises, what is the AWL, why should I learn it, and so on. And if you look at, say, let's say Sublist 3, this has heaps of exercises, and they're quick to do. You know, so you're just putting words into a sentence quickly and moving on to the next one, and you'll get feedback. So this is quite a good way to say it, and probably once you've done a few exercises, you'll figure out which are the words that you're not so familiar with, and those are the ones you could focus on. So I really recommend that.
Is there a link on Moodle for this?
Well, I'll send this PowerPoint to Peter. Yeah, and if you just enter academic word list, in Google, you'll find it. Yeah, but I'll certainly send the links to Peter, and then he can put them on Moodle. I've mentioned already paying attention to feedback and bringing feedback to the Learning Centre to discuss ways to improve. That's certainly something we do. When you read, it's really good to pay it.
So can I just mention here?
Yeah.
So just remember, when you have your Turnitin report, you can download the assignment, which includes all my comments and all the feedback rubric. Mm-hmm. And so make a copy of that and either email it across to the person you're going to speak with, or take it with you when you go there.
Taking it with you is actually better, because we don't have time in our schedules to pick up emails, because we're working sort of, well, for today, for example, 8 hours a day, basically 7 to 8 hours teaching a day. So we won't have time in between teaching to pick up emails. So we need hard copy or soft copy on your computer or on a memory stick. Yeah. Okay. So when you read, pay attention to language as well as ideas. So you're sort of looking at the language that people are using, and sometimes you can note down useful phrases, useful ways that people say things. Read and listen to the kinds of texts that you need to produce, and there are heaps of examples online. Not always good examples, but if you look up business report, you'll get a whole lot of examples that you can look at, and you can probably select the ones which are most similar to the kind of thing that your lecturer wants. Essays, presentations, proposals, there's heaps of material out there and that you can look up. And I would say use language sites. None of these sites are only for learners of English as a second language. They're all for learners of English, full stop. And I consider myself to be a learner of English. I'm still learning, my vocabulary is still growing. Yeah, there's heaps of stuff on here. One thing that this one has, the OWL at Purdue, it has heaps of stuff about APA referencing. You'll see that APA Style Guide is one of the most popular resources. Avoiding plagiarism is another one. If you search on any topic, you'll find a lot of material there. It's a huge site, enormous, and lots of really good exercises.
You just go to grammar one. Just show a grammar one.
So that's not a clickable link, actually. Yeah, I'm at the front page, so you need to go through, but we'll look in here we're looking here for grammar. Oh, that's interesting.
I think Google search within the video.
Yeah, okay. So, a heap of topics for grammar. They use grammatical words, so you need to know them. So this one, subject-verb agreement, that's a mistake that I commonly see. And it responds very well to practice. People pick this up and practice. So there are handouts, and then there'll be exercises. There are numbers of exercises on this. So once you've had a look through the handout, you'll get further resources. Okay, that's one site. Oh, sorry. So Academic English Cafe is another one. This has also lots of downloadable resources. Quizzes are exercises, and they have them at different levels, different kinds of levels. A grammar quiz, a vocab quiz, so on. They have examples of essays. They have writing links. One about academic editing, which is quite interesting. They actually have an editing service. Yep. So that's another one, and a further one is sorry. This Academic English UK. This one has quite a bit of listening available, so that would be a good source for listening. I've opened the page about giving presentations where there's some good advice, and not just advice but also language. They've got an example of a PowerPoint, they've got a video, they've got various signposting language for talking through your presentation. And there are quite a few lectures on there on different topics, so and listening worksheets and so on. We'll go to the listening. So, a whole lot of academic university lectures, TED Talks, but with worksheets, so you can work on them. 6-minute English listening, so you can do something short. Pronunciation of academic words from the word list. So, actually, that's a really good resource. Okay, so now the question is, what are you going to do following this class tonight to develop your English, to develop language, skills? Yeah. So that's my challenge to you. And any good ideas, any further ideas on Zoro, I hope that you'll send to me via Peter and we can share them around. And any good things you find or any links, please share them with others in the class, because I've no doubt you'll find things. I'll get back to you on business English vocabulary. Yeah. But I'm not so worried personally about the business English vocabulary, because I think you will definitely develop it because you're in class and you have to. It's more the vocabulary around that, the academic words and academic phrases, which are a bit, not necessarily, you're not paying attention to so much in class.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's my impression that your words, your vocabulary, most of you are pretty good there. You get the right words. My judgment is that it is your sentence structure and your grammar which can be improved substantially. Those are the areas that I see. So
Okay.
it's grammar.
Okay, well, kia kaha. Stay strong and healthy and balanced, and because all those things are also important as well as study. And good luck with your assignments on this course, and do ask for help if you need it via the Learning Centre. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Rex. Okay, so we've asked you now, please enter any questions you have for Caroline. So here they are, they're coming up. The first one, are there any workshops to improve pronunciation?
Good question, and no, there aren't. With no advertised workshops, but there can easily be a workshop. I would love to do a workshop on improving pronunciation. It's a particular interest of mine. So all you have to do is come and book one. I don't mind actually if there's one person, but I'd love it if you advertised it to the group so that we get a number of people, because it'd be more fun with different people. Be more interesting. Yep. So please just come and ask. Find it. You decide. The one person who wants it, if there is only one, can decide the time, and then perhaps we can just give you a list, and you can add names to the list if you want. If other people want to come.
Yep.
It's quite simple. Yeah. Be really happy to do that.
So,
When we talk about pronunciation, workplace communication is another interest of mine. So if you're planning to, wherever you're planning to work, actually, English will probably be used at some point or other. I'm really interested in helping students to develop that, and I think I've got some quite good ideas for that. Yeah, but other people on our team also could. Yeah.
if you do a workshop on pronunciation, I'm very happy to do a stand-in for Rex Harrison, Professor Higgins.
All right.
We've got another one here. Are there any workshops to improve formal speaking?
We had one, but we again, at this point in the semester, come to us and we'll arrange one.
Right.
It's not at all difficult.
Right.
Yep.
So you've got an oral presentation coming up just after the break. So a good time to get the people that are doing your presentation, get a couple of them to go along here to build their confidence. Several students in this class, level 7, I've suggested they join Toastmasters. There are dozens of Toastmasters clubs.
that's a good idea.
It's nothing to do with eating toast. It's nothing to do with drinking toasts. It's about preparing the speech that goes with celebrating whatever, a marriage or making any kind of speech. So that's certainly one proposal I've made.
We are open during the study break, so some staff will be taking holidays, but we're definitely open both weeks of the break, so you can make bookings in the break time.
Any more questions?
Okay, any more questions?
Okay. I'm just going to go to the previous question. I'm just looking through, see if there's any other gems in what people are doing to improve their language. Debating. That's a good one there.
Yeah.
That you have to be really good at having researched beforehand, but you can't have any planned answer. You've got to be able to respond to the text that comes at you. That's a good one.
You're getting help from a dictionary, and lots of dictionaries do pronunciation, give pronunciations. The dictionary that I recommend online is the Macmillan Dictionary.
Okay.
Macmillan
Good piece of
Dictionary.
advice. Read carefully the lecturer's requirements of the assignment, but also share your understanding of the assignment with somebody else in this class, or even in other classes. What do you understand by what the lecturer wants? What else we got?
Books and articles. I would recommend books. The 808 section in Unitec Library It's got a lot of resources on writing essays, reports, and so on. A lot of good material in there. So you can get a lot online, but books are also really useful. So it's the 808 section. Yeah.
The other thing you can do in your groups, as you're speaking and as you're writing, don't be shy about giving unsolicited feedback to the members of your group. Say, oh, actually, a better way of saying that in English would be this. Okay? So offer unsolicited feedback. At the same time, after you've been in your group, at the end you could say, right, what are some ways that I could have improved the way that I communicated in this group? Okay, so you've got a job to do in the group, but at the end, also use the group as a way to get support on improving your language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think reflecting on thinking over how your English is developing or how it's improving is really useful. Yeah, the skills that you're developing. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So, just let's quickly, what are a couple of things that you've learned that's new today?
Sorry, which online dictionary you have recommended?
Sorry?
Which online dictionary?
Macmillan Dictionary. I'll write it up over here. Just enter that in Google, and it gives the pronunciation. I think you'll find that the example sentences that it gives, because when we learn a word we always want to see actually how do you use that word, how does it appear in a sentence. I recommend this dictionary because it has really clear, understandable sentences using that word and using that word in different forms. So it's very good, very useful resource. Yeah. So I would suggest bookmarking that so that you can just quickly look words up. Yeah, there are lots of free dictionaries, but this is a particularly good one. Yeah. Okay, so I think we'll okay to.
Just want to show this one. See what your reaction to this is. My view is that if you write long sentences, you're more likely to get the grammar incorrect. Full stop. Write short sentences. Full stop. Furthermore, use transitions to join your ideas together. Full stop. See what I did then? I used furthermore as a transition to join two ideas together. Full stop. The language I'm speaking now is a subset of English called Global English. Full stop. It's the language that international businessmen use. Full stop. It's the language that diplomats use. Full stop. Okay? You see how it works? Does this language sound easy to understand?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. It takes a lot of effort for me to translate my English into this short form of English, this global English. But if you do a Google search, you'll find this article here. This article here, it's all learn and teach global English in our business schools, and you'll see an example of my writing this English, and also why we should learn it, and some of the rules or the guidelines. Full stop. My theory is, if you learn to use this global English style, you will make fewer mistakes in your language.
Yeah, I would say that 1 to 2 ideas is in a sentence is sufficient. Don't need to have long sentences with more than 2 ideas. Yeah, it's very common to have 2 ideas rather than just 1, but yeah, I would agree with that focus on making things clear rather than fancy, plain rather than fancy. Yeah. Yeah.
Succinct and lucid. Right.
Okay.
So the Google search to find that article, Business Global English, is this search here, Global English Melaloo. Okay. So that's that one there.
All right. Okay.
Okay, anybody like to say a word of thanks and indicate one or two of the things that they've learned?
Yes.
Oh, hold on, we'll bring the microphone over so that we get
Thank you, Peter. I'd like to say thank you to Caroline. That was very informative. I have used Puna Ako's resources myself and found them very helpful, particularly pre-submission of assignments. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
Okay, that's fine.
Right, good. Thanks indeed. Thank you very much.